If a well-known singer doesn't write their own songs, they are not an artist. There is no major difference between them and an Elvis impersonator. Both sing songs written by someone else. They are performers, not artists. Certain musicians are called artists when they don't write their own songs or play any instruments. Talented? Yes. Great performers? Yes. But they don't create original content, so they are not artists. Opera singers only do covers. By this logic, none of the folks who play in a symphony are artists because they are performing someone else's music. Except for one must attend a fine arts college or college of arts within a university to study to become one. I know what you're getting at, and as a musician who has written some of his own songs, the creation element makes it so much more rewarding to play my own songs that I usually just play those and couldn't care less about covering other people's songs. Behind every hitmaker is a failed singer. Many hitmakers have tried to build a solo career after they've made a lot of money from writing songs for others. Few of them succeed. The ability to write hits and the ability to interpret potential hits in a way to make hits out of them are two distinct art forms. Performance is art. Therefore performers are artists. Elvis never wrote a song in his life, so add him to the list. Actors don't write their scripts, so I guess they aren't artists either. Frank Sinatra didn't write songs or play instruments. Or Judy Garland. Or Elvis. Or Ella Fitzgerald. Or Bing Crosby. So you're saying the greatest singing artists of all time are not artists? You realize singing is a skill? The voice is an instrument. A vocalist is an interpreter of songs. Performance is an art. Performance is art. The 7 arts are architecture, sculpture, painting, literature, music, performing, and film. What's funny about this post is that Elvis himself would not be an artist by this definition. He didn't write a single one of his songs by himself, although apparently he did get writing credits on some of them or he wouldn't have recorded them. So classical musicians are not artists. Could it be that they are, / performance artists? First of all, how are you defining artist? In the modern parlance, the artist is the singer, or the band. The Best New Artist Grammy doesn't go to the songwriter. Whatever your definition of it is, I suspect it's too narrow. Second of all, people playing music they didn't write is as old as music itself. Folk songs and traditional songs are so old nobody even knows who wrote them. Should no one be allowed to sing those songs anymore? This became even more pronounced since music started to be recorded and sold in the 20th century. Professional songwriters have always been there. Thirdly, performing and writing are both specialized skills. Some people are good at both. Some just one. Would you not want a great song to never make it into the world just because the person who wrote it has debilitating stage fright? Or should they sell that song to a professional performer? Not everybody can be like Smokey Robinson, who wrote My Girl, but also had a bunch of massive hits with The Miracles. That's like saying that classical musicians aren't artists because they just play music written by dead composers. The artistry is in the interpretation. Are you familiar with performance art? This may be the most obtuse thing I've ever read. By logic, Elvis isn't an artist because he didn't write his own songs. Elvis didn't write any of his songs, he only did covers, so he's not an artist. Singing is an art, dude, that's not an opinion. That's fact. I don't know how to interpret this other than so wrong. I can't even classify it as an unpopular opinion when it's just blatantly false. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. An actor, a dancer, an opera singer, these are not artists. To believe that you have to have never worked in the arts in your life. They're a performance artist, lol. Artists create art. Singing is an art. So is songwriting. Singing is arguably a more lucrative art than songwriting. I would say that a good singer and a good Elvis impersonator are both artists. I've been saying this for the longest, In my country many years ago we used to call them interpreters, not artist or singer. Art is subjective. Period. Op defines art purely as something being created physically, the act of actually writing a song, which is fine for Op. Other people define art as something being created in any medium, the act of singing the song, which is fine, too. I fully disagree with Op. It's fine to call someone a talented artist who didn't write the music. It's just not fine, in my opinion, to call a rapper a musician if they aren't playing or singing. I know that's a different can of worms, but it's slightly relevant/adjacent to this issue. Classical musicians are artists, the people who wrote the music are long dead, they have the work to understand it and to play, it is required a large amount of skills, and mastery of their instrument, they are artists. Normally you don't see this in modern musicians, pop music etc. Oxford English Dictionary, Artist, 1. 1. A person who practices or performs any of the creative arts, such as a sculptor, filmmaker, actor, or dancer. Who has ever said an artist has to actually create something? Would you argue that someone who paints a landscape or portrait or still life is not an artist, because it's not something new? You mention instruments, but a lot of players do not create their own music either. By your standard of content creation, a performer who turns a simple song into a multi-million-dollar performance people actually want to see, is less an artist than a Minecraft YouTuber, because they created something in a game and created their own video. I'm glad this is an unpopular opinion because it's a dumb and poorly formulated one. Singers style a song a lot of the time though, and that is creativity and artistic. How does that work if a band member writes a song that the singer sings? The singer isn't an artist but the band member is. This conflicts with me so much because I agree with your reasoning but still disagree. So a painter or sculptor who gets told what to make isn't an artist. Opera singers and violinists. Unpopular, you're restricting what being an artist means. What if a singer doesn't write their songs, but they're heavily involved in the artistic development of their music videos, or their concerts? There's more ways of being an artist than just writing songs. Performing in itself is considered an art. Wait till you find out that Elvis didn't write his own songs. Nonsense. As a musician, this opinion makes me want to be quite violent. Like, if someone dared to tell me to my face that I'm not an artist because I don't write everything I play, I'd probably hurt them. I don't think Op has any idea what art is, or what goes into performing a piece of music. The practice, the interpretation of the various tempos and markings. The amount of themselves that any good performer pours into the preparation and performance of a piece of music. The feeling at the end of a concert, that exciting feeling, yet being so spent and knowing you left a part of yourself out on that stage. I try to respect most opinions. But this is just unacceptable. They perform art, so they're artists. Disagreed but unpopular. Unpopular, so what if a person is a great songwriter but a shit performer? What are we supposed to do? Let art sit unheard? Get the fuck out of here. Elton John? Correct me if I'm wrong but I believe he had a writer. Maybe performing is an art. Not Elvis impersonators, just Elvis. https://en. M. Wikipedia, org/wiki/Otis_Blackwell. Your definition of art and artist is too narrow. They're artists, they're not songwriters. At what point does unpopular opinion become stupid opinion that I want upvoted? Performance is an art. Singers are artists, much the same as an actor. Having said that, I loathe cover tunes, when an artist records a hit made earlier. A few exceptions, but I think of it as lazy. Have you never heard the words performing arts before? Are you saying that someone who paints art that was done a millennia ago, isn't an artist? Your logic is severely flawed. Performing is an art though. If singing other people's songs isn't art, then reading other people's scripts and acting isn't an art either. Face with rolling eyes. Disagree, the voice is a musical instrument, it takes talent, a good voice, training and practice to stay in good form, and really good singers are rare. The same things apply to playing any instrument, and we don't refuse to call them artists. BTW, I used to believe there was a category difference between performers who wrote their own music, and those who didn't, but I no longer take that distinction very seriously. That condemns all opera singers to the not artists list. Tell it to Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, and Glenn Gould. No. Performance in as art form. Performance art is a whole genre of art. That's like saying a dancer who didn't make the choreography isn't an artist. By bringing someone else's ideas to life, you become an artist. LOL, singers are artists, their voice is their art, the emotion and life they bring to the lyrics is art. But hey, unpopular opinion on an unpopular opinion sub. Interpretation and representation of lyrics and art is in itself art. R/gatekeeping. They are performers, not artists. XD what? Haha, performers are artists. The art is in their goal. If their goal is to impersonate, then they should be judged on how well they impersonate, and impersonation is not easy. If you're a singer, you should be judged by how well you sing, which, again, not easy. Singing is like writing, you have to be technically good enough to draw out the emotions of listeners, and that can take years of practice. I've heard songs whose covers I appreciate way more than the original, simply because the singer interpreted the lyrics differently and gave them a new story via melody. How is that not art? How is that not the very definition of art? Should I even get into acting/performing? Art is literally interpretation, not only, I would say, not even primarily, creation. In fact, art as creation is, in my worthless albeit passionate opinion, an amateur way of defining the field. Just look up artist in the dictionary. There you go. You're wrong, op.